Hey there, Ryan with IMinnesotanice.com. Today, day 44 of 365. I'm here at Catholic Charities. We're going to learn some more.
And I'm Stacy Peterson from Catholic Charities Sail and Shy program.
So tell me more.
Well, the Shy program is a program. It's a transitional housing program for youth, and they have to be between the ages of 16 and 24.
Okay, so this program kind of takes that step where they're 16 to 20.
24.
24. Okay, so they're moving from kind of care with parents into their own living situation.
Yep. The youth are typically, a youth is referred to as sometimes through the county, sometimes through foster homes. It depends on their situation. Sometimes even the school district, but they come and they're usually coming and they're homeless or at risk of homelessness.
Okay, sure.
So, the youth come to us not knowing some of the skills to live on their own, or
Right.
have been on their own too and failed.
Sure, yep. And you guys just help them with those transitions.
Yes, we what we do is we kind of assess their situation when they come into the program, and then we I talk with my hands.
I do too. It's fine.
We assess the situation that they're in, and sometimes we have to assess readiness for our program too,
Okay.
because we do have some requirements in our program. I didn't talk about that, but the requirements of our program are basically that they need to be working while in our program,
Okay.
and they need to finish high school.
Sure.
If they choose to go into post-secondary or college or
Yeah.
something like that, that is fine, and we'll help them and we'll encourage them, but it's not required in our program.
Got it.
But we do require that they finish high school.
Sure. And you have programs to help them,
Yes.
get through, whether that's a normal high school program or a GED type
Yep,
thing.
or maybe an alternative setting,
Okay.
depending on. We try to get them enrolled in school if they're not already enrolled.
Got it.
And that might be that they just need GED.
Right.
My GED program.
Yeah.
And what we do is we kind of assess that situation, see if they're ready for our program, and if they're willing to work, and if they're willing to get that schooling done, then hey, let's
Yeah,
move forward,
let's
and
go.
let's try to help you find some housing and secure it and move on.
And then you find jobs.
We
For
help
them
them
too?
find jobs, yes.
Yep.
We connect with our workforce center, our local workforce center, really well.
Sure.
They've really been very helpful
Yeah.
in taking in our youth and working with them one-to-one. They also have sort of a program for youth kind of in transition as well, and they help with some housing kind of things, and we do, and we really have a nice connection, so we're not duplicating the service.
Right.
And that's something that we really try to focus in our program on, is not to duplicate that
Right.
service.
Yeah. Exactly. Duplicated efforts are.
Well, and the youth isn't really going to like that either.
Right, yeah.
I have how many case managers and how many, no.
Yeah. They just don't want to do that.
Yes.
How many kids do you go through the program in a year? Is it?
Last year we had 54 youth come through
Okay,
the program,
sure.
and we turned away 85.
Okay. Wow.
Were you not prepared for that?
Yeah. No. That's interesting.
Yeah. We do work with our youth up to 24 months now.
Okay.
That has changed recently. We used to be 18 months.
Okay.
And it used to be when I first started in this program that it was 6 months.
Sure.
And you can see over time, I've been here for quite a while now, and the need has just really
Right.
been seen now, I think, and it still needs to be seen. But I think people are really realizing that youth needs services.
Yeah.
They need the case management. They need a longer term.
Right. Yeah.
That way they can be successful.
Yeah, it takes, anytime you learn a new behavior, you're trying to do something differently, it takes that time, and you don't go to school for 6 months.
Right.
You go there for an entire...
4 years.
Yeah, exactly, however long it's going to be. So, when you have that type of thing, it's really important to have that continuing.
Right. So when you see how many we serve versus turn away, it takes a lot of time to serve a youth.
Right,
And some of those youth are being turned away because we don't have the services they need. It
Right.
might be that they need an emergency shelter, and that's
Yeah.
a whole other topic we could talk about or not talk about. But it really, there are no shelters in this area.
Sure.
And
Youth shelters.
Youth shelters. Yes, I should clarify
Yeah.
that. There are shelters for youth. The youth between 18 and 24 can go to a
Right.
shelter, but anybody under 18 cannot. And so sometimes we're turning them away because they need an immediate place that night.
Right.
And we just don't have that.
Sure.
But we certainly offer, we can help you find that. We can try to help you ongoingly. And sometimes it's case management by phone versus,
Right.
being in our program.
So your programs help youth get the services they need. And there's actually an event coming up, September 17th. It's a golf tournament.
A golf tournament through
So-
AP Vacations.
Okay, so then that's how you guys can help right there.
Yep.
Can help with this, get these kids, these youth that need help.
Well, our program is, I kind of talk about our program a little bit and how we're funded. Our program depends on grant funds
Sure.
through the state, federal dollars, and
Community.
sometimes communities.
Yep.
And the state and the federal dollars are not enough to cover our programs, so therefore we have to try to come out to our community and talk about and raise awareness.
Yep.
And VP Vacations has done a nice job of coming in and saying, we want to do this golf tournament for youth, and how can we help? And so we are going to help in any way we can, and hopefully raise some money. They're going to do some nice games at each of the holes, and they're going to really try to raise some money. So.
That's awesome.
Okay. The client that I will never forget would be a couple. And they came into our program, and they had just lost their child. And maybe I'll never forget them, because at the time when they came into our program, I was pregnant.
Sure.
And it was my first pregnancy, and you're very emotional about having a child and wanting this child, but then they came in and they had just lost their child. They were 19 years old, and were married, and just lost their child. He really went into a depression. And it was really sad, because they were doing very well. He was going to school, or she was going to school. Mm-hmm. He was working full time. He was making enough money to carry everything. And they had an apartment, and they were sharing this apartment with another individual to meet their needs. And they were doing very well on their own. And then their baby died and passed away. And he got very depressed, lost his job. And then it just kind of spiraled after that.
Sure.
The bills started coming in, and they called us and worked with Susie in our program, and really did a nice. Susie did a nice job of trying to get them some grief counseling, and Catholic Charities offers that as well.
Sure.
And so they were going to some grief counseling, and really Susie working with them and getting them back on their feet, they kind of switched roles. She started working.
Sure.
She stopped going to school.
Yeah. He
started going back to school, because when you get depressed, you start thinking about, what do I want to do?
Right. There's a question there. You're lost a little bit.
Yep. He was very lost, and he decided he wanted to go back to school, and so he switched roles and he went back to school, and she started working, and Susie helped them. What happened is they were in this apartment, and while this was going on, their roommate left too.
Sure.
I think a lot was going on, and
it's
just like, I don't want.
It's that spiral. I mean, that's
exactly.
Things just.
Well, then they can't afford his half of or her half of the rent. And so they really needed to get out of their lease, and Susie helped with that.
Sure.
And helped them kind of get back on their own. They did move back where their family is now, and so and Susie is no longer working with them, just because they kind of went through our program and really did a nice job, and she helped them while they were in the program with some of those resources they needed. So that's a couple that I'll never forget, because I was pregnant at the time, and it meant a lot to me, and I thought, what would happen if I lost my child?
Right. So. What would happen if those circumstances had, and where would you turn? I mean, so many people don't have any place to go, so
exactly.
This is kind of one of those resources that they can find some help.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. It's a great program.
All right. Well, I'm Ryan with IMinnesotanice.com, sharing the best of Minnesota.